this is why most bands suck when they get older. Hello, welcome back, Connor Farrell. What you doing there? What you doing? Anyways, no, today you can't see it's not even written on there, but we're talking about incongruence. Incongruence. What does this mean? Let me just hop into it. Basically, when how a band looks and how they sound doesn't match up. People would say with Ghost, the music. I would say actually the quality of the music and the actual the quality of the artwork and the visuals, the appearance. So there's three main things, and incongruence on, okay, you've got the appearance of a band or an artist, you have the sound, and then you actually have the lyrical content of that band or artist, right? And so if you're talking about like Ghost, their appearance is very intense. Their music is not very intense, but the quality of the music is also not nearly the same quality as the appearance. The visuals are high quality. The music is low quality. I mean, in terms of just effort, right? It looks like they didn't do many rough drafts on that, and they did a lot of rough drafts on the t-shirts, which is where you see a band like Metallica who did a lot of rough drafts on that, and they're both good, right? And so that's kind of where you get a problem. Then you've also got lyrics, too, right? You can see bands where they phone it in entirely on the lyrics, where they do all the work on the lyrics, like Motorhead. A lot of the lyrics are fun, well-written, very captivating, but the music, it feels like, they just copied and pasted the last 10 songs they wrote. And so if you like the last 10 songs, well, that can be good. But if you don't like the last 10 songs, well, you're out of luck. You're just getting the same song over and over. It's serviceable in terms of songwriting. Maybe the guitar solo is different. You see a lot of metal bands where like, oh, the riffs are cool and the guitar solos are cool, but the vocals are low quality. So incongruence, I think when you've got certain attributes are lower quality and others are higher quality, I think that's less of a problem in terms of incongruence. I think the main problem you get into is when the intensity of your different variables are very off. This can either be great or this can be awful. I think a good example of when it's great is the graphic novel Watchmen. Watchmen has extremely intense actual themes and content, but the visuals are very like poppy and very like bright and colorful and look like they're low intensity visuals but high intensity subject matter, and has a really interesting blend that goes for it, but it also makes it work for some people and not work for others. I think a place where you get something where it's more of a problem is something like all these bands as they get older over time. Avenged Sevenfold, their music is high intensity. Their early music, when they go to, they're dressed like Justin Bieber. They're dressed like pop musicians and people like that, and like, like the hipster and like, oh yeah, I got my thing, girl. It's like I'm so cool, and that's kind of what they look like now, which is a low intensity kind of fashion, not in your face, not aggressive, not bold. And then they have to go and play their hits, Bat Country and stuff like that, which is not by any means the most intense song, in the world. Maybe it's an 8 out of 10 or you know what I mean? In terms of intensity, it's not an 11 out of 10, right? But when their fashion is now a 2 out of 10, you get some incongruence, right? And then do you either tone down your, that's you see, there's a problem here. When you look like not even a boy band, because at least a boy band is more boisterous. They're in like the 4 to 7 intensity range in terms of music. I have the chart over there. If there's a scale from 0 to 10 in terms of how intense or bold or in your face or provocative or just assertive the visual style is, a boy band and a pop song are kind of in that middle of that range, right? They're upbeat. They're a little bit punchy, but they're not super aggressive and off-putting and in your face and polarizing. But they're also not like super low energy and subdued and subtle. And so now Avenged Sevenfold dresses subtle and subdued, but the music is still like in between upbeat and, super aggressive. And so it's like that kind of becomes a problem. Metallica's done a good job at this. The classic example of a way to kind of not screw this up, but not do this perfectly as you get older, is to just dress in all black. Plain black t-shirt, plain black jeans, decent haircut, right? Like Nickelback's done a pretty good job at this. I think originally they looked kind of like surfer guys, like with their hair doing like grungy, and I don't know if it works the best with the music, but then now they just look like you know, guys with solid haircuts, and they just wear all black. Like a lot of bands kind of tend to that, and so I don't think that really wins you any points as a band, just dressing in all black. But I also think for sure it prevents you from having massive incongruence. I think the black is like you can be any intensity level, it's going to match up. It's not going to there's not going to be a strong incongruence between how you're dressed and presenting and your visual style and your actual auditory style. The eyes and the ears line up. There we go. So incongruence between what you hear and what you see, that's where you kind of get to the problem. Like Arctic Monkeys now, they dress like just a completely like laid back style, and then you'd think, oh, well, they're playing their new music and it's laid back and that works. But once they play the old stuff, it's going to be a problem because the music is intense, or at least medium to higher intensity, like Avenged Sevenfold. But they're dressed low intensity, like Avenged Sevenfold. Problem is, Arctic Monkeys just go, no, our solution is to make those songs less intense when we cover them. So now the audience is not getting what they paid for when they buy the ticket. And you could say, well, that's fine, the artistic expression. Well, I'm just saying, if you're just objectively looking at it as an outsider, you're going to say, the audience came for one thing in mind, they bought a ticket, and then they got a different thing. I don't know if that really is going to be a good strategy going forward. Like, you know what you would do? Here's what you might want to do if you're a band. Either you don't play the hits at all, you definitely don't butcher the hits by making them completely different to the point where they might as well see a cover band because at least it'll be closer to the original in terms of spirit, energy, intensity, delivery, etc. What you could do is, and this, I think if you want to have different styles, you make like an actual pop singer. You commit all the way. If you're going to change your styles and change your things and you change the intensity level entirely. I think where you don't have a problem with this is where people stay in the same intensity level generally. Weezer can do lots of different styles technically, musical styles, composition, etc. But the intensity stays between a 4 out of 10 and a 7 out of 10. It stays in the upbeat, kind of playful, kind of fun energy range. So Weezer, no matter what they do, they dress kind of normal, kind of in the middle, nothing super laid back, but also not something super amped up and heightened like Kiss, right? Oh, Kiss is another example. The Misfits have lyrics where it's really, really intense, but the music itself is actually like really kind of fun and upbeat in terms of like, ba 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 ba. I'm trying to think of a Misfits song. Trying to think of a Misfits song. I got something to say. Fuck you, my baby, today, 'cause it doesn't matter much to me as long as she bled. I got something to say. I killed your baby today, and it doesn't matter much to me as long as she bled. Or as long as it bled. But it's like super like, oh my god, like, what is it? Doyle von Frankenstein, who is the guitarist from the Misfits, has one of his songs from his solo project is called, I think, Dreaming Dead Girls or Dreaming of Dead Girls. And one of the lines in the verse is, what's the quickest way to a woman's heart? Straight through her fucking chest. And it's about like taking your heart and just fucking ripping it out. And it's all, and he's dressed up like a Frankenstein. They're dressed up like skeletons. It's all extremely like horror movie intense subject matter, but on the background of like super lovey-dovey chorus. So that is purposeful incongruence. But I think the thing here is incongruence isn't always a problem. Just usually if someone didn't consciously put the incongruence there and go, wait a minute, that looks good, let's lean into it, it's probably not good incongruence. It's probably just because they haven't looked at it. Because I'll tell you what, if you just do what you do and it ends up being incongruent, sure. But if you notice some of the things you're doing are incongruent, you're going to notice when that's not working and when that's working, and you're going to tone down when it's not working and make it more congruent. And when it's really working, you're probably going to play into that. So I think what ends up happening is basically the people who are incongruent but also self-aware, they realize how to move the kind of shave down the parts where it's a problem. They shave it down, sandpaper, versus but the people who don't realize it's a problem, they don't realize it, and then it continues to be a problem. So I think you've got that with bands as they age and become lower intensity. But you kind of say, or this can be an intentional thing that you purposely do. Like I would say, Sleep Token, Bad Omens, a lot of this stuff, they're like dressed up with a metal aesthetic, but it's really like low intensity music. Anyways, that's to give it's purposeful, right? The point is, oh, isn't this novel, right? And Ghost does it clearly intentionally, right? They make very accessible music, but very intense, kind of like stark, bold visuals, and that kind of works together. It's what Kiss did. It's the same exact formula, right? Except the problem is Kiss at least had some really good, undeniable songs that were at least like an 8, 9 out of 10 in terms of catchiness. You couldn't deny that song deserves to be noteworthy, right? Ghost. Ghost has great stuff going, and a lot of stuff that's good, but not a lot of stuff that's undeniable. Everyone in society, like, put this in the back of a movie as a needle drop, and everyone's going to be like, oh, I recognize that, like, Immigrant Song by Led Zeppelin and friggin' Thor Ragnarok. I come to the land of the ice and snow where the midnight screams and the flames blow. Oh my God. And I was made for loving you, baby. Where's it? Yeah. Tonight, oh, you were made for me. I was made for loving you, baby. You were made for loving me. I can't get enough of you, baby. Can you get enough of me? But no, that whole thing, like, that's like, oh my God, yeah. I'm willing to butcher it because it's too fun to not, like, have to go and, like, kind of getting that energy. Boom. It's infectious. It's infectious. Think about it. It infects you. So what am I even going to call this video? What was the point of this video? Oh, no, it's just like, this is probably why most bands suck as they get older. I mean, let's call the video that. This is why most bands suck when they get older. There you go. Thumbnail, YouTube. Thumbnail! Ah! I'm looking at myself in the camera, seeing I'm making faces. Reconnecting. I'll see you in the next video.